hours to Heathrow, 8 hours flight, 5 months in America.
So we flew across the pond to come to the States for a family vacation. Me, Grandmammy, and the rest of the bloodline gang. People, I'm connected in these American streets. Don't get me twisted. But anywho, for moments we stepped off the plane and out of the Miami International Airport. Good Lord, people, good Lord, the American heat beat down on me like I was a Mississippi slave. American heat is slave heat. When I say American heat got me humming like a slave deported to North Carolina, people, it got me going like this. God's gonna trouble the water. American heat is slave heat. 50 degrees. Oh my Lord, I was melting like a stick of butter on a frying pan. American citizens, I don't think you lot understand the dire weather over here in the United Kingdom. Imagine, people, 365 days of winter. Britain is cold, depressing, and we're a bunch of miserable bastards, especially Londoners. Londoners are a bunch of miserable bastards, and they're rude set of bastards. But anywho, the heat hit us like a wave, thick, humid, and unforgiving. It wasn't just hot, people. Hot is an understatement. I was cooking like some ground beef on a pitmaster grill. Whoa. It was the kind of heat that made the air feel heavy, wading through a warm, invisible ocean. Me and my grandmammy stood inside the airport, waiting. Our suitcases piled around us, waiting for my Uncle Morris and Auntie Ivy to arrive. So, people bustled around us, tourists dragging their bags, the locals moving like they were immune to the heat. People, when I say I saw this guy wearing a thick black jumper, walking through the Miami heat like it was nothing, I said to myself, "She." Yes, indeed. American heat is slave heat. During that wait at the airport, people, I kept on checking my watch, watching the minutes crawl by, hoping Uncle Morris would pull up soon, because this heat was a madness, people. The sweat on my forehead wasn't just from the sun. After a long flight, good Lord, the last thing I wanted was to stand around melting into the goddamn airport. Then, people, finally, a familiar face walked into the entrance of the airport. It was Auntie Ivory, my grandmammy's sister. Apparently, Uncle Morris was outside waiting in the minivan parked on the curb. My uncle was waving from the driver's seat and saying, hurry up. Get in the goddamn car because I'm not supposed to park here. People, he had one of those Chrysler's Voyagers, but anywho, relief washed over me as we loaded our bags and we got into the goddamn car, eager for some air conditioning. At that moment, people, I turned Christian. Good Lord, I was a Christian at that moment. The air conditioning baptized me. Lord have mercy. So we hit the highway of America. Woo, and people, let me tell you something. The journey from the airport to Port St. Lucie, the scenery was absolutely beautiful. Anywho, everybody is reminiscing in the car. Grandmammy and Auntie Ivy chatted away, talking about their childhood, sharing stories about their families. And Uncle Morris's eyes were fixed on the road, chatting here and there. Then he looked in the wind mirror when he called my name, and he said to me, "Hey, now that you're in America, let me give you some advice. Don't fall asleep in the car alone." The drive to Port St. Lucie felt endless. Florida highway stretched on and on, straight roads lined with palm trees and an occasional billboard advertising Disney World. Whoa, it felt like hours upon hours. The sun hung low, turning the sky shades of orange and pink as we drove north. I wanted to stay away, people. I wanted to, but exhaustion weighed heavy on me, and next minute, I am catching Z's. Anywho, by the time I woke up, we had arrived at Uncle Morris's and Auntie Ivy's home. And people, when I tell you, I went straight to bed and it was lights out for me. I was catching a flight on Z. You know what I mean? But anywho, next morning I woke up. That was my first time really taking in the interior of their humble home. This was my first time really understanding that my 10 toes is touching American soil. God bless America. People, the first thing I'd done was grab the remote and turn on the TV, and the first thing that came on was the local news. People, a nice white Nubian queen appeared upon the screen, and she was reporting, good Lord, she was reporting this most horrific news. Let me tell you what happened. So, anywho, there was this couple, a married couple that had a newborn, and one particular week, the wife decided to go on a business trip, leaving in charge the newborn with her husband. Yeah, so the husband was in charge, the wife went away, and people, one day, the husband woke up late for work. Yes, he was late. He was in a rush. He had to get himself ready and the child ready. He rushed to the car, drove to work, got out the car, went into work, did his 9 to 5. He's a working man. He worked his job from 9 to 5 because he needs to get that goddamn American dollar. He got out at 5 o'clock. He walked out into the sunshine. The sun was blazing. It was hot. People, he was walking towards his car. Then he stopped. He realized he had left his baby in the car. Good Lord. He rushed to the car, opened the door. People, the baby was slowed, cooked like a Thanksgiving turkey on a Sunday afternoon. The baby, unfortunately, passed away. People, I was horrified when I heard the news. That was the first piece of American media I consumed that day. No cappuccino. Also, I didn't realize Uncle Morris was in the kitchen pouring himself some Tropicana orange juice, and he walked past me and he said to me, That's why I told you, don't fall asleep in the car alone. As I got familiar with my American surroundings, as I got adjusted to this American lifestyle, people, Florida felt like a world apart from the grey skies and tight-knit roads of Great Britain. Port St. Lucie in particular had this quiet charm, vast open roads, neatly lined houses, and an air of stillness that felt almost cinematic. The neighborhood stretched wide unlike the compact terraces I was used to back home. Every house had a driveway, a lawn so green it looked painted, and palm trees that swayed lazily in the sun. Good Lord, God bless America. Besides the relentless heat beating down on me like a slave master, people, this sunshine American people be having, be making them happy. Let me tell you something, the people were different too, friendlier in a way that caught me off guard. Strangers waved as they walked by, as if we were all somehow connected. Even the cashiers at the grocery store chatted like we'd known each other for years. They were fascinated by my British accent. It was a warmth beyond the heat and effortless hospitality that made me feel good in my heart. People, let me tell you one thing. The roads over in America are massive. Those were what fascinated me. Back in Britain, the roads are small, tight, cyclists weaving through the gaps, cars squeezing into the tight lanes. But that's besides the point. Uncle Morris allowed me to ride his bike throughout the neighborhood. I was exploring the neighborhood where we were located. I was going up and down, making friends. People knew who I was. Riding my bike on those roads felt like freedom, people. You know what I'm saying? The warm breeze on my face and nothing but time, people. Evenings were my favorite. The sky would turn a deep orange, the air thick with a scent of cut grass. It was peaceful in a way I hadn't expected. Florida life, American life, was a different kind of life. Over here where we were at, it was slower, calmer, and strangely intoxicating. But let me tell you about this one particular time. So I told you I used to ride a bike everywhere throughout the neighborhood. So where Uncle Morris and Auntie Ivy lived, they lived on this block, a row of houses. Have a look at this diagram. There you go. So one day I took Uncle Morris's bike because I wanted to have a little ride around the block and come back. And if you look at this now, I'm here and it takes about 5 minutes to ride up here and come back around back to the house. So I'm on the bike now, I turn the corner, I'm riding up, and when I tell you, in a sudden, the clouds turned super dark and grey. It was almost like it was gonna be a thunderstorm or something like that. And my God, it started to rain. And when I tell you America, rain is different. It is different. It rained and it poured, people, and I was soaking wet. The rain droplets are so big you can actually see it, people. You can see the rain droplets. So I'm riding my bike. I'm here now. And then suddenly, people, no cappuccino when I say this, the sky parted and the sunshine beamed upon me. Good Lord. And when I say the heat of the sun dried me up,
Pause.
people, I was bone dry. My clothing was bone dry. By the time I got back to the house, I was bone dry. No cappuccino, people. It took about 5 minutes for all of that to happen. Anywho, let me tell you about this other time when the family decided they wanted to go to the dollar store in the hood. Yeah, you heard me. They wanted to leave the safety of the Caucasian neighborhood to go venture into the hood. And my God, when we drove to the hood, the aesthetic, the atmosphere was vastly different from where we came from. Very, very different. But anyway, we parked up and I was too goddamn exhausted. I told you people, American heat is a madness. I didn't want to go nowhere. I wanted to stop in the car and just rest. So they were like, yeah, we going in. You can stop here. And before they left, well, Grandmammy and Auntie Ivy left. And before Uncle Morris left, he turned around and said to me, don't fall asleep in the car alone. Stay awake, stay awake. Then he left. People, as soon as they exited, I waited in the car with my eyes closed. Yes, I waited there patiently with my eyes closed. And people, it couldn't have been more than 10 to 15 minutes. I was shaken violently out of my sleep. I was shaken. It was my grandmammy saying, wake up, wake up, wake up. People, I woke up shook. I was shook. I was like, what's going on? And then I realized, people, I was sleeping in a pool of my sweats. What? Yeah, I was sleeping in a swimming pool of my sweat. And that's when it dawned on me, oh, this how people die in the car. They get cut like a turkey up in the car if they fall asleep. Damn! My Uncle Morris just looked at me and said to me, don't fall asleep in the car alone.